God, let's do this. Let's see whose phone this one is going to be. Thank you for everybody coming in. Just gonna give it a little bit. Bear with me. Do a Q&A. If you feel like you want to do that, feel free to throw a question up. I got something for y'all today, though. This one's gonna reflect on couples. The most profound thing I heard this week. For all those couples out there, sucks to be y'all. If this resonates. Oh man. Oh. If you're meant to see this, it's for you. If not, peace and love. I can't read Spanish at the moment. Do I? Sorry about that. And I had to try to learn how to read it in Colombia when I was there for those 11 days. So imagine. Luckily, somebody was always able to translate for that moment. Alright, so I'm ready to go in. This week, the most profound thing I heard was that there's people who are in love, in a relationship, but they're not having sex. Beautiful woman. How you figure? Anyway. That there's people who are in relationships and they're in love, but they're not having sexual encounters. But there are people who are in relationships who don't love each other, are having the craziest, exotic, exploring sexual encounters. And come to think about that, how many times there's people in relationships who are sexually active. And I mean, they enjoy their encounter, their experience, but they don't have no communication, they have no contact, they have no connection, they have no chemistry. They're disconnected. And now it only becomes a physical experience while everything else is irrelevant. When it should be a physical connection. It should be a mental stimulation. It should be a connection. It should be chemistry. It should be love, admiration, complimenting, gifting, the other partner at all times. You always got to try to find a way where you could mentally stimulate your partner's mind, not just physically, right? You got to be able to stimulate their heart, their mind, their soul, and their spirit all intertwined all at one time. But until then, we have disconnected. We have lost our essence with one another. And it's now a competition between man and woman, when it should be no competition. It should be a unison, united as one team, because it's about evolving the humankind for the betterment of mankind, rather. And that makes me think like it's going to be a genocide eventually if that's where it becomes to. It becomes competitive. There is no need to be in competition with one another. It should be about love. It should be about peace. It should be about harmony. It should be about development, right? But people are constantly in comparison and competition with one another, and there's no need for that. You have your own uniqueness, and just like the next person beside you has their own uniqueness. The God within lives within inside that person that you're in comparison to. You're competing with the God within that person. That's what it really comes down to. But people don't have the acknowledgement. They don't have the awareness. You see, you coming into the middle of the conversation. I said people in relationships are constantly not having no connection. They don't have any. They have lost the essence of what a relationship is supposed to be. The dynamic duel. It's supposed to be a power couple. And if you want to look at it from that perspective, that's why you're constantly having the experience of competition in your life personally. When you don't allow yourself to be on that frequency of competition and in comparison, you don't see it come into your reality. You don't see it come into your world. You don't see it come into existence for you. But since you have that mindset, you're going to constantly be experiencing competition. You're constantly being comparison. You're constantly going to see life project that because you're on that frequency. That's your energy. If that's how you feel, that's how you move, that's your opinion. I don't got no issue with that. You're more than welcome to have your comment. But at the end of the day, it's what you aware yourself with. It's what you attract. So since you want to think on that note, go right ahead, my friend. Continue experiencing competition. Continue experiencing jumping on the rat race, per se. On the hamster wheel, I call it, because you're running fast and you're going nowhere quick. It's about evolving. I'm more of on a corporate, global perspective, not a minimum mindset perception. I don't want to insult your intelligence, my man, so you can just keep your comments to yourself at the moment. You won't trigger me. I learned my lesson a long time ago. The last person that tried to trigger me. I don't give my power away. I control my power. I don't allow trigger points to interact with me no more. That's your opinion. Your opinion, that's your perspective, that's your mindset, that's the program you bought into. That has nothing to do with me. I'm giving you a comparison of what today's relationships between two couples look like. There are the people who are in relationship, who love each other but are having no sexual encounters. People who love each other and they're not having no sexual encounters, right? And then there are people who can't stand each other, who hate each other, but are having the best sex. And where is the disconnection? So like I was saying, people who are in relationship in today's society, it sucks for y'all, because at the end of the day, you have no connection, no chemistry, no complimentary, no admiration, there's no gifting, and there's nothing you bring to the table. You have nothing to offer. All you really do is actually be in comparison and competition with people like that kind of mindset. So if you're in a relationship, most likely you are in comparison, or you're being in competitive with your partner, which is totally wrong. At the end of the day, it's irrelevant to your comment, to what you're saying in comparison to the subject. So like I was saying, I don't allow people to trigger me anymore, because I keep hold of my own power. You will not be having my power. Today's topic was, there are people, I found this profound, right? Like, there are people who are in relationships, but there are those who are in a relationship that love each other. But those who love each other, for some reason, there's no connection when it comes to their sexual encounters in the bedroom. They have a disconnection. But then there are those who hate each other, who have the most amazing sex and are constantly in unison, but they have no comparison. They don't have nothing to compare to. They're not compatible. So what keeps an actual genuine relationship together, knitted together, is people who actually genuinely love each other, but they're not having sexual encounters. And then there are those who genuinely don't love each other, but they have a connection when it comes to their sexual encounters. There's gotta be a profound foundation where you're able to connect with someone, mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Where did we lose that connection in today's society? And like I was saying, is that you constantly comparing yourself to your partner is the reason where it brings the division, the separation. That kind of mindset is only going to bring division and divide, and easily conquered and divided. That's what ends up happening in today's society. That's the way I see it. But sometimes, like you say, right? It sucks. It really, really sucks, because I was reading something and it said, do you not acknowledge and do you not see that people who are in relationship that actually do love each other are not having bedroom encounters? Comparison to people who don't love each other are having the most amazing sexual encounters. And if you want to think about it in that way, people who are in a constant relationship today, who are in the 5, 10, 20, 15 year longevity, are not having no sexual encounters. What does that bring? It brings people to go out there to constantly be looking for a thrill, because they're not getting it at home. So it jeopardizes a relationship between two who are in a bond, because they don't know how to connect with themselves on a physical level. They go both outside the home to go experience, explore, and engage with experiences outside of their own home, willing to even jeopardize of bringing a disease home because you lost connection with your partner. It could be mentally, physically, emotionally. You never know, right? Because people don't know how to sit down and have those conversations, those hard conversations to have with. Once you have that conversation, you'll be able to unpack, reveal, and unscale. But then as you unpack it, you're going to realize what you're capable of healing, what you're capable of restoring, what you're capable of mentoring one another. And it's all about building an empire. And people are constantly too busy to try to bring a financial gain, but they lose the essence of themselves in the midst of it all. You gain the world, but you lose yourself. Think about that. You gain the world, but you lose who you are. You lose connection with yourself. It ain't worth it. You can't put a price on it for me. That's priceless. To get lost and to become somebody I'm not, I refuse it. I refuse to be in competition with my partner. We're compatible is where we become a unit and we become a team and we come to building an empire. But other people want to be in comparison, competition. Ignorance. "444" coming up. There's gotta be a connect somewhere. The lost, I think, is more of a lack of interest with your partner, right? You tend to be focused on other things that are irrelevant, that have nothing to do within your four walls. But everything within your four walls you tend to ignore and become oblivious to. And everything you become oblivious to becomes hardened and it becomes more challenging, and it actually is dismantling you, which only hinders you from ever progressing. I feel bad for a lot of people in today's society because they're only crippling themselves. And I wish there was a way to open up their eyes and open up their minds in order to connect to their heart. And once you're able to connect to your heart, everything else becomes easy. Really? Put it like this. Give me a minute. Let me revisit that thought. I was saying was, in today's society, you have couple A. The couple A, they have a connection. They love each other. It's a bond. They have the perfect couple, but they have no sexual encounters. They don't have no physical contact. They don't have the chemistry that enlightens the fire within them. Somehow, some way, within time frame, they have disconnected with one another. Then you have couple B. The second couple, they have no connection, they have no contact, they have no chemistry. But they have the most physical, most exciting, most thrilling, most profound sexual encounters in the bedroom. And if you rewind that, couple A, what tends to happen is that they go outside their marriage, they go outside their relationship, they go outside their four walls. They go outside their four walls and they go exploring, experiencing, only to encounter the very thing that they're missing at home. So if you go outside of your four walls to all look for what you're missing at home, why don't you look for ways to fix what's at home? If not, just part ways. Do you really love that couple? Does that couple really love themselves? Love each other, right? And you know what it is? A lot of people stay in relationships only because they have the years, they're comfortable, and the financial stability that they have built. And one of my biggest fears is going into a relationship that thinking that this is in the back of my mind, but these are the conversations that I will always have. I'm not afraid to expose my heart, expose my mind, and expose everything that I am. because that other person will definitely understand, will comprehend, and will see from my eyes, will feel from my heart, and will walk in my shoes for about a mile. To truly engage with someone, you gotta be able to connect with someone. If you can't connect, then don't even bother wasting your time, because at the end of the day, do you really want to spend that kind of years, that kind of time with someone that's not gonna elevate you, that's not gonna, how do you say, they, if anything, they're gonna bring more value to you and to enhance you. Is anybody gonna come to invest in you? Take a wild guess how old I am. And I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just in my thought. Don't take it personal. A little higher. Out of the 30s, put it that way. Just to eliminate the process. Right, you gotta find a little higher. Don't go exaggerating either. You gotta find where you can connect with that other person. Where's the chemistry? But where do you build? Is it easier to build off of a physical contact? Thank you for the compliment. Is it easier to build a foundation off of physical contact, or is it easier to build something from a mental connection, right? Where it's an emotional attachment. And do you allow attachments to become the surface of your foundation? How do you build a solid foundation? How do you build a solid relationship with someone? These are all the questions that run through my mind. Every time I read something, I'm always questioning. I'm not one who takes anything at face value. I question everything. I am rebellious towards everything. I don't believe everything. I have to connect with it internally. My spirit guide, my intuition lets me know if it's okay. If it's not, then I'm being on the dismissive side. It's what has kept me single for so long. There has been plenty of opportunities, and I just don't engage with them all. I don't feel like I need to. Yes. 45, yes. But the questions, actually, to be honest with you, as far as asking questions, right? I was always thought I was dumb for asking questions. I always thought that because I didn't know, but I had to ask, is because I wasn't informed. No, okay, let me rewind that. As a child side, I'm thinking about when I was younger, not today. Today I ask questions all around, and I know that I'm actually bursting a bubble that's gonna unfold and reveal everything that I'm asking. But I can see things from a different perception, a different paradigm, all within to unleash. So, can you build a relationship being emotionally detached? Can you build a relationship? Let me process that. Can you build a relationship? No, you can't. To be honest with you, you can't build a solid foundation off of a detachment, because however will you explore and experience the true essence and the meaning of a relationship? There's got to be some type of emotional attachment to that person, but at the same time, it goes constantly. It goes back to the other day that there was the got me tongue-tied, damn it. It contradicts what I was speaking on the other day. Meaning, it goes on a this is the one thing, is that I'm rare. I was raised by women, so I think from a woman's perspective and an emotional side. But I was raised by uncles who taught me how to be street connected and how to be a physical man on the masculine side. So I got the best of both worlds, but I grew up on the street. So it gave me a hustle's mentality. But then as I got older, I matured some. I removed myself from an equation that I only saw as a downfall. So it goes back to the theory that as we grow up in ghettos and we think that the only way out is through selling drugs, and it only actually sets you up for a failure because you feel like that's the only ticket way out in order to get out of the neighborhood, in order to get out of urban city, corrupted, destructed, contaminated, dysfunctional thinking, environmental, which is like the crabs in a bucket. I'm actually in the process of unpacking and discovering parts of myself of a conversation that I've had with my mother when I was in the 2nd grade. And it comes from a limiting belief where I believed and I thought the only way out was through selling drugs. Because I admired Tony Montana. And today I admire people like El Chapo. I admire people like Pablo Escobar. Why? Because they were people who took matters into their own hands and they made something out of nothing. People who risked it all, invested, and always come back with a revenue of multiplying their investments. Detachment. It contradicts with what I was speaking on the other day. Can you be emotionally available for someone and still not be attached and be detached? That's a difficult conversation to unpack, because at the end of the day, we are supposed to live on this earth never attached to anything, because at the end of the day, we know that we're going to die. So you're supposed to live your life detached, never attached, because there's nothing that you can take with you that's on this physical world with you when you leave and when you exit. Because at the end of the day, you may accumulate a lot of material things. You may accumulate a lot of You may accumulate a lot of material things, right? But at the end of the day, you cannot take any of that with you. The only things that you do take away with you are the relationships that you've encountered, the love that you expose yourself to, and the memories that you take, that you've encountered and experienced on this lifetime journey. If we were clear with one another when it comes to communication, understanding the other one's perspective, you could live detached. But there always are going to be emotional attachments to other people, because you build a bond, you build a history, you build a connection, you build a relationship with the other person, and that becomes where the attachment comes in. Can you live detached from that? And that's where it becomes challenging to everyone, including I. Right? Because if you get used to hearing from someone, you get used to seeing someone, you wake up every day next to this person, you're experiencing life together. How can you live detached and not be attached? How can you explore this world without living with any attachments. I think we can live detached to anything that is physical as far as material things. But as far as emotional detachment, now as far as detaching from a relationship, I think that's easy. Because I go into my mind and I tell myself it's a program that I believe that it was all in my head.